Science of Advaita. In dualism, you cannot become what you already are. Whereas, in dualism, Advaita, you cannot become what you already are not. We don't need much explanation on the first teaching because it's a generally accepted phenomenon that something cannot become the same thing as it's already that thing. Thus, apple can become apple pie but apple cannot become apple, or orange can become orange juice but orange cannot become orange. What we need to understand now is the teaching of Advaita. We cannot become anything if we already are not that. Is that rocket science? No, it is just science. Science says, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Energy can only be transformed. We cannot add even an iota of energy in the universe. We can just transform energy from one form into another. Any being, living being, or non-living being, in the universe is a combination of three elements: spirit, name, and form. In the beginning there was nothing but spirit. We may call that God. The spirit manifested into all beings. When the spirit manifests into a being, the latter gets a form. Then that form is given a name. And thus the spirit plus form plus name is called air, water, fire, plant, animal, human, etc. Apple becoming apple pie, wood becoming wooden chair, or seed becoming tree. The source is spirit plus name plus form, and target is also spirit plus name plus form. The difference between the source and target is that the name and form of the source and target are different, but spirit is the same in both the source and the target. The source becoming target is represented by equation S plus N1 plus F1 equals S plus N2 plus F2, where S is spirit, N is name, and F is form. However, since in Advaita, name and form, Namarupa, disappear, let's drop N1, F1, N2, and F2. What's left proves that there is no difference between the source and target. When the name and form are dropped from the target, only the spirit remains. But spirit, like energy, can neither be created nor destroyed, and hence nothing can become the target's spirit if the source was not spirit already. And hence the Advaita teaching, you cannot become what you already are not. Albert Einstein, by giving his great theory of relativity, E equals mc2, has proven to the world that matter is nothing but energy. Energy equals mass times the velocity of light squared. In the beginning there was nothing but energy. That energy manifested into all the matters that exist in the universe. All these matters are given names. If we consider any object and take the name and form out of it, then what will remain is the energy. What science calls the energy that was in the beginning of the universe, spirituality calls it the spirit. Thus, every being in the universe is nothing but just that spirit when the Namarupa, name and form, are withdrawn from it. All is just that one spirit. That's Advaita in a nutshell. There are many paths to reach God, and all paths are right. Everyone is free to choose the path one wants. One of the oldest scriptures, Rig Veda, says, Ekam Sathvikh, Vahadhavadanti, which means, truth is one. The wise call it by various names. In other words, there are many beliefs in spirituality, and one is free to believe in what one wants, but not to point finger at others' beliefs, and accuse others of believing something wrong. Veda, dualism, Vishishtadvaita, qualified non-dualism, and Advaita, non-dualism, are three great concepts in Vedanta, and Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and Shankaracharya respectively were the acharyas, gurus, that preach these philosophies. In today's world, the religious fanatics are cutting each other's throats and burning down nations because they know only one thing: my beliefs are right, and yours, wrong. One seeker had a doubt: if the humanity is served without the discrimination of good and bad, the sinners should not be punished by the court, they must be served. One has to understand Vedanta in a deeper sense to get such doubts cleared. When Arjuna told Krishna that he cannot kill his own brothers and other relatives, then Krishna told Arjuna, "You won't be killing anybody because they are already dead. I have killed them 1,000 times before. The brothers and other relatives that you are seeing now are mere bodies." What Krishna told is not in everybody's capacity to understand. Though Arjuna shot dead with 100 arrows his most respected granduncle, Bhishma Pitama, and thousands of people on the battlefield, he didn't actually kill a single person as per Lord Krishna. Because the fight was not between people, the war was between dharma, righteousness, and adharma, unrighteousness. Similarly, in today's world we might see criminals being punished, and even with capital punishment. It is not the punishment by a non-criminal to a criminal, but it's a punishment by dharma to adharma. Neither Arjuna punished anybody, nor does the law of our land punish anyone in today's world. It is just victory of righteousness over unrighteousness. Are we condemning sinners? Who is a sinner? We shouldn't be calling anybody a sinner, but still, if we did, then we are all sinners, with different degrees of sins that we commit. Remember that incident from the life of Jesus Christ. Story: Jesus and stone pelting mob. A bunch of people was after a woman of loose character, wanting to stone her to death. They stopped at the sight Jesus said, "May he cast the first stone who has never sinned." At those words of Jesus, stones dropped from everyone's hand. Jesus then turned to the woman and said, "Go and sin no more."
They dropped at the sight of Jesus, and Jesus said, "May he cast the first stone who has never sinned." At those words of Jesus, stones dropped from everyone's hand. Jesus then turned to the woman and said, "Go and sin no more."
If who we are calling sinner is a sinner, then we are no saints either. We are sinners too. The difference of sin between the so-called sinners and others is the difference between the woman and mob in the above story. Advaita teaches us to see the divinity that Christ saw in that loose character woman and people trying to stone her to death. Manifestation. The dictionary meaning of the word manifest is expression. For our understanding, in this book, we can also consider to manifest is to become. In the beginning there was nothing but just the one, the consciousness. That consciousness manifested, expressed itself, or became, or made itself into universes full of planets and stars, and various beings on the planets. Summary: be simple. There is no end to craving. One should live a simple life. Society is indulged in too much of practice of rituals and other religious routines. Those rituals have no practical values in a person's spiritual life. For anybody who is serious about spirituality, rituals are totally meaningless, and a complete waste of time. If you are into following rituals such as visiting a place of worship regularly, or observing fast in the name of God, or such other custom, then frequently ask yourself if the practicing those rituals are helping you change your life for better. Are those rituals bringing practical happiness and peace in your life? Are your relationships with people improving day by day due to those rituals? If the answer is yes, then jolly well follow the rituals. But, in 99% cases I can assure you that the answer will be no. Rituals leave our lives with no change for better or improvement. Continuous practices of rituals become a routine like brushing teeth, taking shower, eating meals, etc. Rituals unnecessarily complicate our lives. Rituals are not free. Rituals cost money, time, and energy, and we complicate our lives in making arrangement for those. Hence, to keep life simple, have no or extremely limited rituals in your life. Simple living means living all principles and philosophies in spirit rather than words. After meeting the basic needs, a person should do only what gives happiness, otherwise he will just be wasting time, energy, and peace of mind.
Be simple the practice.
Now you know that there is a vast difference between being religious and being spiritual. Living a religious life means strictly confining yourself to rituals, do's and don'ts, etc. Billions of people are living religious lives and are unhappy. Living a spiritual life doesn't require any rituals, do's and don'ts. Just do the right things. What is a right thing is already explained earlier in this book. In a nutshell, living a spiritual life is living the life of a married monk, a balanced life.
When you live with wisdom of your true self, live simple, live in the present moment, live positive, and live free, you are living a spiritual life. Right from this point onwards, live a spiritual life.
From King Janaka's story you learn that to live a simple life one need not live like living in poverty, but what is really important is to live without attachment towards any material things or relationships. However, King Janaka was a Brahmajnani, knower of God. Hence, he could live a king's life, and at the same time be completely detached to the luxuries. Ordinary people like us would invariably get attached to our material possessions. Hence, it's easier to be detached if we really limit our material possessions and live a simple life. So practice living on simple food, simple clothing, simple home, simple car, and so on. Luxury has not given permanent happiness to anybody. If riches could have given happiness, then all the rich people in the world would have been happy, but we all know how untrue that is. In essence, we are the same energy that is the energy of God, which is also the energy of all material things in the universe. Would we want something that we already are? Not hurt ill of your loved ones. Not fulfilling somebody's expectations doesn't amount to hurting the person's feelings. Expectation is the cause of people's unhappiness. Nobody can fulfill everybody's expectations all the time. But, other than that, one shouldn't hurt one's loved one's feelings. Here I am specifying the term, loved ones, because in practical life you might have to hurt the feelings of some people, sometimes. Tit for tat is an age-old saying. In spiritual parlance, tit for tat is not a revenge-taking technique but rather helping a wrong person in realizing his wrong deeds. But then there are those who you really love, your family, friends, and such other dear ones. You should not hurt their feelings. There is always a better way of explaining or convincing. Some parents just disagree that kids can be taught behaving well without being harsh with them. It's true that some kids are stubborn, but spiritual guardian can always find ways of handling such kids with love and care. Any other methods can seldom be a permanent solution.
When you try to change somebody, and you use calmness in the process, you are trying to change that person for his good. However, in the process of changing somebody, if you use anger, then you are not trying to change the person for his good, but for satisfying your own ego.
Your loved ones deserve your kindness and politeness. Also, remember that in your spiritual journey you have to consider yourself as more spiritual than others, though not as an ego. Given that, it's understood that your loved ones might be hard on you at times, but it's then when your spirituality controls the situation. If your loved ones give you hard time and you give them hard time in return, then what's the difference between them and you? Why would you call yourself spiritual and not them? Or why would you treat yourself as more spiritual than them? Practice this learning of not hurting the feelings of your loved ones, and see the difference in life. Their perception about you will improve in short span of time, and so would their relationship with you. A mansion or luxury car might fascinate somebody who is unaware of the Vedanta knowledge of Advaita, that material things are just another name and form, Namarupa, of them themselves. With the Vedanta knowledge you just acquired, simple living is more than enough. Do not waste food. Another important thing in practicing simple living is not wasting food. Every day thousands die due to starvation and malnutrition. Wasting even a single morsel of food makes no spiritual sense. Before bedtime, revisit, be simple. Just before retiring for the day, spend 5 minutes just with yourself. Ask yourself if you lived as yourself, and simple throughout the day. If you lived your real nature and simple the entire day, you must have felt happy the whole time. If you felt unhappy any time in the last 24 hours, then make an affirmation that the same will not repeat in the next 24 hours. Take away from yourself the option of choosing between living luxurious life and living a simple life. Just live simple. Have faith in this book. Read it as many times needed until you find out that you have started living your true divine nature and a simple life, full of happiness. Be yourself and simple, and be happy. Balance your life. Be a married monk.
Chapter 5. Be in present. What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our lives of tomorrow. Our lives are creation of our minds. Buddha.
Let go the past.
When even God cannot change the past, why not just let go?
Do not carry over your emotional baggage even to the next day. When you are in a deep sleep, the world disappears for you. A deep sleep is equivalent to death. That makes every morning a new life for you. If you wish, then you can make a new start any day, then why hold on to the past?
Do not carry over your emotional baggage even to the next day. When you are in a deep sleep, the world disappears for you. A deep sleep is equivalent to death. That makes every morning a new life for you. If you wish, then you can make a new start any day. Then why hold on to the past? With the beautiful knowledge of your true nature that you now know from earlier chapters, you should feel completely pointless to live in the past, or worry about future. Just live in the present moment. Past is the time earlier to the present moment. Past could be the second before right now. Past could be earlier part of the day, yesterday, or further in the past. Similarly, future is any time after the present moment. The present moment is very, very short. With that definition of the present, all fights pertain in relation to the past or future. Then the basic question arises, why do people have to fight in the first place, instead of living happily in the present moment? More knowledge from Vedanta would help answer that question.
Why do people argue? What is a person? A person is the sum total of the knowledge and experience he has acquired until now. Based on that knowledge and experience, he formulates a philosophy of his life and he lives by that philosophy. The philosophy of one person can be very different than that of another person. When two people talk on any subject, they would disagree if their philosophies are very different, and then the discussion can turn into an argument. Differences in people's thinking are due to perception. Perception. Different people have different perception. We often find people pointing to negative factors in others. Actually, there's nothing called negative or positive habits or factors in people. These are just one's perception. What's believed to be a negative factor by one person can be considered as positive by another. Take an example of a man, his wife, and his boss. The man often sits very late in office, and completes his work without procrastinating it to the next day. His late sitting is considered as a negative habit by his wife, but the same habit is well appreciated by his boss. That explains that nobody has any negative habits or factors. In your relationship with anybody, you draw the other person's picture as you wish that person should be as per your perception. Whatever difference you observe between the picture and the person, you want the person to change and match to your picture. And if that person doesn't change, then you become unhappy. Step into that person's shoes. Now, the other person has drawn a picture of you as he wants you to be. And now he wants you to change so that you fit into his picture. Are you willing to change? Surely not. Then why do you expect him to change?
In your relationship with anybody, you draw the other person's picture as you wish that person should be as per your perception. Whatever difference you observe between the picture and the person, you want the person to change and match to your picture. And if that person doesn't change, then you become unhappy. Step into that person's shoes. Now, the other person has drawn a picture of you as he wants you to be. And now he wants you to change so that you fit into his picture. Are you willing to change? Surely not. Then why do you expect him to change?
The reason you do not want to change, instead you want the other person to change, is because you think you are always right. Now the fact is that, exactly like you, the other person always believes that he is right. If only you understand the concept of perception, then you would never ask anybody to change. Everyone believes oneself to be right, though in reality one may be wrong. So, in short, if you wish to be peaceful, do not claim yourself to be right, and the other person to be wrong. Just know that it's all about each one's perception. When it comes to philosophical discussions, ordinary people do not know what's right or wrong. Each one claims an act to be right or wrong based on one's own perception, and that creates arguments and fights. Story: 5 Blind Men and Elephant. There were 5 blind men. They were blind since birth. They had never heard of an elephant, and knew nothing about that animal. One day when they were walking, they banged into an elephant that was standing out there. The 5 blind men started touching different parts of the animal, and started guessing what that was. First man touched one leg of the elephant, and shouted, "This is a pillar." Second man touched the tail, and shouted, "It's a rope." Third man touched the trunk of the elephant, and claimed, "Come on, let's run away from here, it's a python." Fourth man touched one ear, and said, "This is a winnowing basket," and the fifth man standing below the belly of the elephant raised his hand, and felt the animal's belly, and said, "It's a granary. There must be a lot of grains in it." Now what can we learn from that story? We are not very much different than each of those 5 blind men. Like those men, even we have little knowledge of things like pillar, rope, python, winnowing basket, granary, etc. Similarly, supreme reality is too big to us to know it completely, as was the case with elephant for those 5 blind men. The story very well illustrates the condition of modern theoretical religions, or isms. Most religious denominations are more or less blind, possessing only partial knowledge of the elephant of truth. Bigoted religionists fly at one another's throats like the 5 blind men, each claiming to know the whole truth, or the only truth. The time has come when people can heal their inner blindness by awakening the latent Christ consciousness or Krishna consciousness within them through meditation, and by the feeling of brotherhood, understanding, and the light of their own inner self-realization. When the self-realization of God heals the blindness of ignorance and denominational bias, then the whole elephant of truth will be perceived as the essence of all religions. Then interdenominational friction and religious and racial prejudice will cease. There will be one house of worship, one brotherhood, one scientific highway of religion, and one temple of truth everywhere. Whether the disagreement is on a bigger issue like religion, or smaller personal issues between two people, the root cause is the same perception. Instead of finding out the reality from philosophies like Vedanta, people tend to believe their perceptions to be the truth.
Time heals almost everything. Give it time.
Disagreeing. There's nothing wrong in disagreeing. Swami Vivekananda had said, if you and I and all who are present here were to think exactly the same thoughts, there would be no thoughts for us to think. We know that two or more forces must come into collision in order to produce motion. It is the clash of thought, the differentiation of thought that awakes thought. Now, if we all thought alike, we would be like Egyptian mummies in a museum looking vacantly at one another's faces, no more than that. It doesn't matter what we say as much as it matters how we say that. It is said in Vedanta that wherever there would be dualism, there would be disagreement. No two people in the world can always agree. However, disagreement could be either just a discussion or argument. As long as it's discussion, there is no issue. However, as soon as the discussion starts getting into an argument, you should drop the discussion immediately. In any argument, we think that we are right, and the other person, arguing with us, is wrong. Story, Frog of Well. There was a well with shallow water. A frog lived in it. The frog had not seen the world outside the well. One day another frog fell in that well. Immediately their conversation started. Well, frog, where are you from? Ocean, frog, I am from an ocean. Well, frog, how big is your ocean? Ocean, frog, it's very big. Hearing that, the well frog took a small leap and asked, well, frog, is your ocean that big? Ocean, frog, you must be kidding. An ocean is really big. The well frog took a bigger leap this time, and again asked, well, frog, then your ocean must be that big. Ocean, frog, no, my dear friend, an ocean is very, very big. The well frog went to the wall of the well, and took a leap up to opposite wall, and told, well, frog, now don't tell me that your ocean is bigger than that. Ocean, frog, no, my dear friend, an ocean is humongous times the size of this well. Well, frog, nothing can be bigger than my well. You are a liar. Go away from here, and never come back again. Most spiritual seekers are like the frog of the well. They have seen only their wells. Here, well refers to the religion they follow, the gods and gurus they follow, etc. They have no idea of the ocean, where ocean refers to the other religions, other names and forms of God, etc. Not only do they not know the vastness of ocean, but also they deny and disbelieve in the same. With the help of the story, Frog of the Well, Swami Vivekananda tried to teach people not to be an egotist like the frog of the well. While there's nothing wrong in being contented with one's own well, we should never deny the fact that there could be a billion times greater knowledge than what we possess, and without understanding that vast reality, it's foolish to make ourselves believe that what we know is the start to finish of the ultimate reality. Discussion v/s argument. When a person is discussing with somebody, he is calm and polite. When a person is arguing with somebody, he is fiery and harsh. He would use phrases that would convey messages that would show that he is right, and the other person is wrong, he is wise, and the other person is a fool, etc. In discussion a person says because he has something to say, while in argument a person says because he has to say something. When discussion turns into argument, neither party stays receptive any longer. Both just try to prove each one's point. Difference of opinion. All our problems with people can be categorized into 3. 1. Illegal act. 2. Immoral act. And 3. Difference of opinion. The third one is often case our today lives. At home, in office, in circles with relatives, and everywhere the reason of our not getting along with somebody is just because we all think differently, and one person's view is not acceptable to another.
Learn to say, I am right, Phil, you are not wrong, we are different.
Everything is subject to time and space. Different countries have different laws. Whether we like it or not, we have to abide by the law of the land. And we have to go by the morality standards that people of the land have accepted. That makes illegal and immoral acts wrong deeds. Drawing the line theory. Knowingly or unknowingly, we all draw hundreds of imaginary lines in our lives and say, everything within this line is right, and beyond that is wrong. Within this line is virtue, and beyond that sin. Within this is forgivable, and beyond that is punishable, and so on. Since everyone has equal right of drawing one's own line, how anyone can prove whose line is the perfect? Even when people try to take help of religion to decide whose line is perfect, it doesn't work because different religions have drawn different lines, and hence like two individuals, even two religions have differences in drawing lines. Spirituality goes beyond all these lines, and sees no lines. When we remove the lines that make division between right and wrong, virtue and sin, forgiveness and punishment, etc., everything becomes one, like undivided and limitless space. There lies the real, unbroken, and endless happiness and peace of mind. Most of us, with family of hardly 3 or 4 people, live in big houses that can actually shelter more than 10 people comfortably, while there are millions of homeless people on earth. We enjoy a heavy breakfast and 2 decent meals a day, while millions of people are starving to death, or suffering from malnutrition. Many of us own 2 or 3 cars and don't even bother to pool cars, while millions can't afford public transports. Let's consider one such person lives in a big house with a small family. He makes decent income, and the family owns 2 cars. How much should he donate every month? 1%, or 5%, or more of his income? Where should he draw his line? How many orphans should he shelter in his big house? Should he donate his second car to a charitable institution? On an average, such a person doesn't shelter any orphan in his house, nor does he share his car with the needy. He donates less than 1% or nothing of his income in charity, and still thinks that he is doing a great favor to mankind. We all draw our lines as per our convenience. Thus, drawing our own line works everywhere. Those who eat meat say, eating anything is no sin. One who eats seafood but not meat says, eating meat is wrong but seafood is okay. Those who eat eggs say, eating meat or even seafood amounts to killing, and killing is sin. Life does not emerge out of an egg until it's hatched, and hence eating egg is okay. Vegetarians would say, whether life emerged or not, eating eggs means stopping a life to evolve, and thus even eating egg is sin, and one should be a vegetarian. Some people following the Jain religion very strictly consider eating anything that grows below the ground as sin. Potato, ginger, etc. grow below the ground, and plucking them out means killing those from the root. Thus, according to such people, even potato eaters are sinners. So, just see how coolly people draw lines between sin and No sin based on their own needs and beliefs.